Welcome everyone, I'm Kendall, and today I'm going to show you how to use Trello to create a meal planning board which is free and easy to use. I've created a template for you that you can copy and set it up so that you can use it every day on your own. And before I show you how to copy it and get it set up, I'm just going to walk you through why this is so useful and how I use this board all the time. I usually do my meal planning on Sunday evenings, and I start by going through the things that are already in my house. So maybe I'll say, okay, I've got a spaghetti squash and some chicken, and I need to use both of those things before they expire. So what I do is I start by clicking F on my keyboard, which opens up the filters. And you can actually browse by any of the labels that are on this board if you're just kind of in the mood for something in particular, maybe some carbs or maybe something fancy you want to impress some guests. Or you can just search by a keyword at the top. So if I have a spaghetti squash, as soon as I start typing, it's going to filter all of the cards on the board. Now I can close the menu, get it out of the way here, and I can just browse through the squash recipes and kind of pick one that looks good. If I want to escape from the search results, or rather the filter, I can just click this green X here. Note that there is a difference between filtering and searching. If you use the search box up here in the top, this will actually search all of the cards in all of your Trello boards, and you can do things like put your search in quotes if you want to search by a couple of words. The filtering is a little bit more simple than that, and you can access it just by opening up the menu or by pressing F on your keyboard. So I'm going to go ahead and decide to create this recipe at the top of this veggie-based meals column. Looks really good. And when I open it up, you'll notice that it does have the tags here for fruits and veggies, vegan, and this is actually keto and paleo friendly. And then there's a couple of checklists. The first one is the ingredients, and the second is the directions. So the next thing you want to do is take a closer look at that ingredients checklist and mark off anything else that you have. So if I've already got zucchini, and I usually have garlic and lemon, got water for sure, I've got some olive oil, etc., and salt and pepper. And everything else I need to shop for. So I'm going to scroll back up here and notice under the Power Up section on the top, there's a nice little button that says Cook This. That is a custom button I've created using Butler, which is a tool inside of Trello. And what's going to happen is when I click that button, it actually, you can see it's running behind the scenes here. It is copying all the ingredients from that particular recipe card that I don't already have in my house. You can see them showing up at the top of the shopping list there. It is adding a date to the card for this week, and it moves it over into the things to eat this week column. Pretty awesome. So that was a lot of work that I did not have to do on my own. Butler just took care of that for me. If I open it up, you'll also notice there's my face. It added me as a member, and depending on if you're sharing your meal planning board with somebody else, you could also set it up so that they get added as a member, which means they'll get notifications if there's a due date coming up soon and they want to see that on their phone or wherever. So pretty awesome. The next thing that you want to do is just kind of repeat that process for a handful of recipes. Usually we do 3 or 5 recipes per week, depending on what our schedule looks like. And then you want to go through this shopping list here and organize it according to how your grocery store is laid out. You don't really have to do that. I just do it because it makes it a heck of a lot easier to grocery shop. Most of the recipes I cook are tons of veggies. So I actually just grab my fruits and veggies section divider, and I just drag it all the way up to the top of the board, because then it'll start to group the zucchini, the avocado, basil, all that good stuff. Once I get to something that is not really a fruits and vegetable like olive oil, I'll drag that down, put it under canned goods, and you'll notice it says 1 tablespoon of olive oil. You'll just kind of have to make the decision about how much olive oil you actually want to purchase in the store. And then these blue cards here, these are just references for when you're starting to use this board in terms of the setup and then how to use it. So everything that I'm telling you, you can kind of have as a quick reference. So you can get those out of the way, put them at the bottom if you like, or put them somewhere else on the board, get them out of your way. So what's really neat is if you want to watch how easy it is to use this app, the Trello app on your phone while you're grocery shopping, check out the other YouTube video on that. I'll post the link below. But basically you can just drag the card to the top of the Trello app and it'll let you archive it. So as you're adding things to your cart, you just kind of remove those as you go, and you can know exactly that you've gotten everything on your list. You can also add cards manually to this list. So if I don't have bananas in a recipe, but I want to make sure that I grab those for breakfast, I can just manually type it that way. But there's also a way to connect Trello with maybe your Google Assistant, Siri, Alexa, any of those bots that you might use to kind of save reminders for yourself. If This Then That is a pretty cool utility that allows you to connect your Internet of Things devices. So if you haven't already done that, I highly recommend setting that up. It's just ifttt.com. And if you don't have a Trello account, you'll definitely need one of those. So that's just trello.com. And it's easy to sign up. And everything that I'm telling you here in this video is going to work with the free account. There is a paid version of Trello that has a lot more bells and whistles, but everything I'm showing you, you can do with the free account. So now you just want to repeat that process with a handful of various recipes. So I'm going to check out this one here, spaghetti squash with black bean tacos. This one's actually pretty tasty and vegan. And just check off the things that are in your kitchen and then click the magic button. Butler's running in the background and it adds the ingredients to my list and moves the card over to things to eat this week. So now I have a few recipes in my list of things to eat this week, but it all says March 2nd on all of those cards, and I definitely don't want to make them all on the same day. So in the top right corner, I'm going to click on calendar. And notice again, they're all listed for tomorrow, but I'm just going to drag and drop those cards into the day of the week that I actually want to make them, depending on what my schedule is for that week. So this is pretty amazing. Not only that you can see them on a calendar view here, but you can also integrate this view into your Google Calendar or your iPhone calendar just by using the feed from this particular one. So that way, if you're at work and you're wondering what's for dinner, or you don't have to worry about coordinating that with your spouse or significant other because you can all subscribe to the same feed. Or hey, get your kids in on the mix. They can put it on their iPhone too. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to close out of the calendar here and show you one last feature, which is if you come across a card that doesn't have the correct naming conventions, like there's a few in here, especially some older ones, I don't know, that don't have. Here we go. So this one actually has the directions up here in the description, and you can see the ingredients is under the word checklist. Now this is not going to work when Butler runs because it's actually looking for a specific checklist name called ingredients. So if you do run across that, I'll go ahead and fix this one since we're looking at it. You want to rename it to ingredients, and if you're going to add a new card with a recipe that you find online, there's an easy way to do that. At the bottom of every one of these columns, there's this little icon. When you mouse over it, it says Create from Template. If you click that, you notice it says New Recipe, and it'll ask you if you want to create it with both checklists, and you want to say yes. But you could have an opportunity to type in the name of the recipe. My husband really is a big fan of carbonara, so we're going to add a carbonara recipe card and click the green button. And then when I open it up, you'll notice it actually has the checklist called ingredients and directions already there for you. So you don't have to use this checklist here. If you use the default one by Trello, the name is checklist by default. So this one is already set up for you. And I'll show you a neat thing here. If you were to actually copy a recipe from the internet, you don't have to worry about doing a lot of formatting. You can just select the text right on the page, come back to Trello, click on Add an Item, and when you paste it in, it's going to look like it's one big paragraph. When you hit enter, it'll actually separate those into a whole bunch of separate items. Then the same is also true of the directions. Don't worry about any crazy formatting, or even if there's images in between the instructions. You can just copy those paragraphs, go under directions, click add an item, and paste it in. Watch this magic. It separates them all out for you. Granted, some of the recipes really jam a whole lot of stuff into one step, and I'm not a good cook, so I really like to separate these out if at all possible. So if you just click on it, it'll allow you to edit it. So I generally do things like this. I'll just kind of like break out each one of these into a separate item. Just do a little bit of formatting here. Save that one, paste it in. So like you could do this all day long, right? Just kind of like break these out. I like to actually check them off as I'm cooking. So that way, if I'm waiting for something, it says come back in 10 minutes, I can easily find my spot of what I need to do next, which is fantastic. So if you're looking at your meal planning board at the end of the week, you're already going to have a bunch of recipes in the things to eat this week column. And you want to reset your board just by dragging those recipes back into the appropriate column. So if they're veggie recipes, I really like to put them at the bottom of the stack so that I don't make them again for a little while. But you could drag them back into whatever column they belong in. And a cool thing that Butler is doing behind the scenes is actually removing the due dates, removing the members, and also resetting the checklists so that they're ready to go again. So if I open this back up, you'll notice all the checklists are unchecked, so they're ready to go next time you want to cook this meal. So now I'm going to show you how to copy the template and customize it yourself. One of the things that is neat about it, it does copy one of the rules that we need, but it doesn't copy that magic Butler button. So I'm going to walk you through exactly how to do all of that. So the first thing is to grab the URL from under this video to actually visit this template board. And once you're on the board, you should see a big green button at the top that says Create Board from Template. When you click that, it'll give you an opportunity to rename the board. You can call it whatever you like. And be sure to keep these boxes checked. You're looking at a copy of that template, and you can see it says Meal Planning, which is my custom board. I could even change the background here to something different if you want, whatever. Oh, that looks like a fun one. How pretty. So if you do not have Butler turned on, you may want to open up the menu and be sure to check under like power-ups or just enable Butler here. But I can see it, so I'm going to click on Butler. And under the rules section, it looks like it didn't copy the rule. I don't know, I'm getting some inconsistent results for that. So that's all right. I'll just walk you through it, whether or not yours works or not. You'll have the instructions. So let's go ahead and create a rule that will automatically happen when we move a card out of the list called Things to Eat This Week. So when we say card move, when a card is moved out of the list name Things to Eat This Week by anyone, we want to do a couple of things. We want to reset the date. So we want to say, let's go to the remove section and say remove the due date from the card and click the plus sign. And let's also remove the members from the card. Click the plus sign again. And finally, we'll go into checklists, and we just want to reset all the checklists on the card. So this is a nice rule because basically when we're done with a recipe and we want to put it back into a column like veggies or carbs, we want to just kind of get it back so it's ready to be added to the list again in the future. So once you're done, click on Save. And then we're going to make sure that this is enabled, so make sure that checkbox is checked there. And then we're going to head over to Card button and create our magical Cook This button. You can actually name it whatever you like, that doesn't matter, whether it's, make this recipe or something more formal. You can also customize an icon, like a magic wand. I think that's fun. So we're going to start by checking the box at the top that says Close Card when action is performed. I like this one because it just kind of gets it out of the way and you can see all the cool stuff that it's doing behind the scenes. Next, we want to I know this is like crazy because you just saw me do it in the rules section, but I want to do remove the due date. I think it's under, is it under remove? Yes. Remove the due date from the card just because it's so annoying to me when my ingredients have a whole bunch of due dates on them. It takes up more room on the board and the shopping list. So I'm just kind of being extra cautious here. So you don't have to do that, but I like to remove the due date. The cool one is under Cascade. So what we're going to do here is scroll down until you see Convert the items in a checklist. And notice when you mouse over the word the, you can see it says complete or incomplete. We want the incomplete ones because remember we've already checked off the items that we have in our kitchen. So we only want the incomplete items in the checklist ingredients to be changed into cards in the list. We're going to put them at the top of the list called shopping. So this is pretty awesome because once upon a time I used to try to shop based on those individual checklists on every single recipe card. It was really annoying because I wanted them to be all grouped together based on the section of the grocery store and not have to keep opening different cards. So this is a real time saver. Once you've got this, you want to click the green plus sign and notice that it's added that to the top of the card. Sorry, the top of the card button. The next thing is we're going to go into Move. and we want to move the card to the top of the list, things to eat this week. This is just a convenience thing, so you don't have to dig through the board to find the recipe you're trying to make. So it just kind of makes it readily available. And then we're also going to add a due date. Now, this one only has a handful of options because, again, we're in the free version of Trello. We can only add one card button. So what we're going to do is make all of the due dates for the cards be set to the next, like Monday at, I don't know, 6 p.m., whenever you like to make dinner. And we're going to put this on every single card that we want to make this week, but I'm going to show you, or I already showed you how easy it is to rearrange them on the calendar, right? So it actually doesn't matter if they're all set to Monday. We're just kind of making sure that they show up on the calendar easy. Click the plus sign, and you can rearrange these. If you click on the little arrow on the right side, you can move them around. I recommend making sure that you keep the checklist part of it above the due date, because again, we don't want due dates on our ingredients. So this is looking really good. I'm going to go ahead and save, and then close out of Butler. So now on this board, I just created both of those rules, or the rule and the card button, and we're going to just see it in action here really quick. So notice it's still got a due date on it from the old time that we made this. It's still got ingredients checked off. So in this case, I just want to start over and make sure that I actually have these ingredients in my kitchen. So let's say in this case, I've only got a lemon and some carrots. Really need to do some shopping. So click the cook this button, and we can see Butler running behind the scenes. There's all my ingredients showing up in the shopping list. And the card has moved itself over, and it has a due date on it. Now, I don't have the calendar button up here, but that is in fact a power up that you can turn on, and you get one power up per free version of Trello. So you can just search for calendar and click the green button to add it. Notice it says there's the limit. That's cool. We only need the calendar. And now I can see that recipe that I've just added, which is on tomorrow, Monday, March 2nd. So if you have not ever tried to add a calendar feed to Google Calendar before, I'm going to show you how to do that real quick before we close. And I'm just going to copy the calendar feed. And in Google Calendar, you may already have events that are added to your calendar, and you want to see those alongside the recipes you're going to make that week. So under the settings menu, you want to click on Add Calendar from URL. And then all you have to do is paste in the URL you've just copied from Trello. And now your Trello recipes are going to show up on Google Calendar. You can't actually edit them from here, but so if I try to drag and drop this, it won't let me because I can't change it, but I can at least see it. So if I realize like, oh, there's a board meeting that night, maybe I want to do, I don't know, something easier, something in the crock pot, I could go back to Trello and I could move it over. Don't panic if it doesn't update right away. Usually I've noticed a little bit of a lag, but the next time you refresh or if you wait a few minutes, it'll usually update itself. Yeah, ask me later. So give it a few minutes and you'll notice that it keeps up to date, which is really handy. I also recommended earlier checking out if this then that, so I just want to show you this really quickly. There's a handful of ways to connect the Google Home device, which is what I have, or maybe your Alexa assistant or something like that. If you're in the If This Then That website, you just want to go to Explore, and then in the search box, search for whatever your assistant is, whether it's Siri or Google and something like Trello. Sometimes I even throw in shopping because some of these little applets that have already been created are specifically set up just for that. Depending on whether or not you want to use something like Todoist, that's another app. You might want to try that. I find that the ones that are just basic, Google Assistant, add a new task card on Trello, those seem to work pretty well. And once you connect it, I'm going to show you what that looks like. Back here on the board, under the little blue like setup card here, I've pasted a screenshot just so you can see what it looks like. So it says add, the $ stands for the symbol. So like if you said add bananas to my shopping list, it's going to listen to whatever that thing is, and then it'll create a card, and you want to add it to your meal planning, whatever that you named your board, and then add it to the list name shopping. So then that word, add bananas or add cucumbers, whatever, to my shopping list, that'll actually show up as a card in your shopping list over here on the left. So, you know, tomatoes and cucumbers is a good example, but it's like anytime I've got stuff that I've added via Google, it kind of shows up at the bottom. So I drag it up here. On often I'm shopping for just fruits and veggies, so rather than dragging all of the fruits and veggies down one by one, sometimes I just rearrange the category. I'll just take the category all the way up to the top, and then most of my stuff falls under fruits and veggies, and then I just move a handful of things down. So it's really up to you. I recommend playing with it, customize it, look around in Butler, see if there's anything else neat, and I welcome your comments and suggestions below the video. And please share with friends. I think this is a really great way to do all your meal planning and avoid food waste. That's really the goal here, is to kind of see what you have, take an inventory, find those recipes, and make it easy to do your grocery shopping and your planning for the week and not end up with any spoils at the end. If you do, we just started composting, and so I went ahead and added a compost link under the, let's see here, it's not under setup, it's under how to use this board. So you can figure out how to do composting in your area or maybe in your backyard, to kind of, send that stuff back into the earth instead of a landfill where it takes forever to break down. If you haven't checked out the movie called Wasted, that's pretty awesome. It's all about food waste. It's where I learned that it takes 25 years for a head of lettuce to break down, which is kind of crazy. So it's really important that we all do our part and try to avoid food waste and start composting. So thanks everybody for checking out this video. Please share and talk to you later.